Welcome to the Millennial Body Image Project. We're two licensed dietitian nutritionists bringing you conversations that cut through the food noise, debunk wellness trends, and remind you that it's not you, it's the systems stacked against you.
Together, we'll explore the struggles so many of us carry, challenge the fear-mongering that fuels them, and offer evidence-based, compassionate tools to support your body on its own terms.
Because your lived experience matters, and your body is not the problem.
Today, we're diving into how to navigate holiday food noise, diet, and body talk without feeling like you're going to lose it on the next person who talks about Ozempic. We know with Thanksgiving and the December holidays coming up, conversations about diet and food and bodies can be really triggering and pervasive for people. So on today's episode, Christina and I will be talking about tips on how to deal with this and also talking you through some scripts that you can use for responding to diet talk, creating boundaries, and protecting your mental health. This episode is also a sample of our holiday food and body image support series that includes 9 short episodes and 3 PDF resources that will help guide you through different topics that we see our clients struggle with year after year throughout the holidays. And you can grab it all for the price of a coffee over on our Patreon. With this series, you'll learn how to reframe your mindset, set boundaries, and ensure that you can enjoy this holiday season without letting food noise or body image issues disqualify you from the joy and connection that this time of the year can bring. Some of the episodes you'll get include Holiday Body Image SOS, how to set boundaries for a peaceful holiday season, how to redefine fitness for a less stressful holiday, your ADHD Holiday Survival Kit, and Gentle Nutrition Holiday Edition. For action-packed PDF resources, you'll get how to navigate diet and body talk at holiday events, implementing gentle nutrition during the holidays, and because of my background as a food blogger, as you all know, you'll also get a copy of our Wholehearted Eating Holiday Table, which is our holiday recipes ebook. If you're interested in checking any of these resources out, just click the link in our description. And now, without any further delay, let's get into how to navigate holiday food noise.
Navigating diet talk. I can't think of anything more timely than this right now.
Honestly, I mean, we have Thanksgiving next week. Thanksgiving sometimes comes out of nowhere. I
Oh
feel
my
like
God.
I'll work in and everything. It's like, oh my God, Thanksgiving. And then after Thanksgiving, we're really in the middle of
Oh my God.
the diet, holiday talk, body stuff craziness. So we wanted to give you all this in advance so you can come back and listen to it many times
Yeah.
if you need to.
And we're going to keep this short and sweet so that you can come back to it and be like, oh yeah, okay, yeah. That's the idea. It's okay. And we also am going to have a handout for you. So I like a little this or that kind of vibe, and so does Dana. And so we're going to give you guys a PDF handout that you can download from Patreon. Yeah, in Patreon that you can get access to. That's if something like this is said, oh, here are some options for things that you can say back. And we'll go through some of those today. But the idea here is let's also remember, as much as we would love to go into this next gathering and magically everybody's on the same page and there's no more of this talk anymore. I mean, just what a unicorn day that could be if at no point none of this stuff is brought up, but highly unlikely. And so I think it's important to remember that this is going to happen. Unfortunately, these conversations are going to happen. They might be directed towards you. They might be directed towards other people. You might be bearing witness to them. It might be happening for your children. And by the way, we're having another thing come out about how to do this for families. So I got your back on that too. But I think one thing that I think is important to remember is that to me, it's not so much about, yes, sometimes these things can really hurt and be triggering for you. Of course, that goes without saying. And I think we can live with multiple truths here. But to me, I think one thing that I always try to remind myself when I hear these types of things happening is I like to actually mentally remind myself, oh, there's diet culture. There it is. This is weight stigma. Oh my God, this is fat phobia. Here it is. Here's all the stuff. It's here. I see it. I can feel it. And sometimes putting a name to it can make me feel more detached from it being directed at me personally, because I can remind myself that's more their shit than it is my shit. And I think sometimes that can be really important and really helpful while navigating this type of stuff, because it's going to happen. And what we're going to provide you today is with specific things that you can say if something is said and you want to say something. But sometimes you can also choose to not say anything at all and just internally roll your eyes or go sip your drink or be like, this sounds like a lovely time to go for a walk. See our episode on fitness in the holidays.
In about 2
And
weeks,
that's
yep.
coming out soon, that we'll have that in there too. But it's a lovely time to go for a walk. It's a lovely time to go ask whoever's making the pies in the kitchen if they need a little help. It's a perfect time to say to the kids, hey, do you guys all want to go downstairs and watch a movie together? It's like a perfect time to do all of those things, to take a step back and create some space for yourself while reminding yourself that this has absolutely nothing to do with you, even if it's being directed at you. That's my like spiel about going into these types of diet talk that happens at the holidays. Would you agree?
Yes, so we're gonna give you some armor to go in
Yes.
with. But it's the holidays are a really interesting time capsule because
Oh
I
my
think
God.
when you get into this type of bubble that we have
Oh,
on the podcast of trying to cultivate a place of food neutrality, body acceptance, body liberation, wherever we are on this relationship with food and body image spectrum, you can sometimes forget where we came from
oh
in
my
terms of your family and
God,
friends and
yeah.
how pervasive diet and food and body talk is so completely normalized, especially during the holidays. So if at any point during this time you're feeling shocked with how much this is coming up, it can be a really big culture shock when you've been actively trying to prune your social media feed and prune the content and the things that you engage with to be more neutral or more
Yeah.
positive or staying away from this stuff. So if it is a shock, that is not shocking to us because, okay, my personal experience was very shocking to me, but
Yes.
I think it's because I have short-term memory loss.
Uh,
This is a very relevant story for another day.
Yeah.
But what I was going to say also is we're going to be talking more about influencers and social media, another holiday related episode coming up. But there's so much it can feel like anticipatory stress that goes into holiday events if you know that there are people that may be triggering for you.
Yeah.
And so our idea with this is I don't know if any of you remember those eat this, not that guides that used to be all over the place. My
Yes.
brother and I used to eat that shit up. Oh my God. It was so disordered. My God. Looking back on it. But this is more of a say this, not that holiday diet talk script. Because one thing that I have really tried to do in personal situations with family and friends and stuff is more lead by example rather than trying to have the perfect thing to say in every situation. Because we all know the shower that you have after Thanksgiving is going to be the best brain blast of, oh my God, I should have said that. Oh my
Oh
God,
my
I should
gosh.
have said yes. We
Always in the
don't
shower.
we don't
Always.
expect you to remember all of this stuff. It's probably going to come back in the shower, but that's why we're going to have these little guides that you can save on your phone or read in advance. And just remember that even though we're giving you this resource, we do not expect you to use any of these things. We don't expect you to remember all of these things. We're just trying to give you as many tools for your toolbox as possible. So maybe one will stick with you and you'll be able to say that one thing and people will be like, "Ooh, maybe don't want to say that around Dana anymore."
I'm picturing right now, this is really funny. And if someone does this, please reach out to us and tell me this story because what I'm picturing is on a sitcom, what would happen is the person would take it on an index card and write it down and say, thank you for thinking of me, but I'm working on accepting my body as it is. That's what I'm picturing. It's okay that you're not doing that. But if you want to do that, I actually think that's brilliant. And
You're welcome to.
and you're welcome to do that. And I think that's awesome. And you absolutely should if you're like, actually, I am going to have some index cards to be like, here, I'll just hand this out. Oh, here you go. Talking about
We
bodies
make like
is triggering for
wallpaper
people.
for people's phones.
I'm not
Here's your
talking
little
about
cheat
bodies
sheet.
anymore.
Yes, exactly. Then
Please
that would
don't
actually
rem-
be really funny.
Please don't mention my body in conversations.
Yeah. What if you like change your phone wallpaper and then you're like, "Hey mom, can you get my phone?"
Reminder, mom, my pant size are none of your business.
Yeah. Okay. So
Sorry.
speaking of,
And it's not
we
why
wanna
I'm
give
still
you
single.
my God. When are you gonna bring someone home? Yeah.
Oh, God.
So we're going to
Too
get
real.
into some of the examples, and this is really like call and response. So the
Yeah.
structure of this resource what we have is they say something like this. Here's a couple outcomes or responses that you can talk about. And as we tend to do, there's a sassy response and there's a more PC nice response. And you get to choose, depending on the situation, where you would like to go with this.
And maybe
So
also how much eggnog you that could also throw a coin toss in there too as a
yeah.
variable for how things are gonna go.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. Do you wanna start with one?
Yeah, so we did want to make sure that we hit on GLP-1s and Ozempic and all this stuff because we're sure that somebody out there is either going to say, "Oh, I've been taking this and you should take it too," or "My doctor suggested I do this," or "Hey, maybe you should do those weight loss meds that everybody's been hearing about." So we have a couple on those. And one example of this is, "Hey, my doctor recommended I try those weight loss meds and I've lost so much weight. Maybe you should try it too." You could say, "Thanks for thinking of me, but I'm working on accepting my body as it is."
My favorite, and this is not the response that we have, but I think it's from another one that actually could fit here is, "Maybe I'm not following. Are you implying that there's something wrong with my body? That it needs to
You love
change?"
that one. Yeah.
That's one of my favorite ones, right? Because I actually think it fits here too, and I think it's, like, a great thing. "Can you explain that more? I'm not sure I'm following." Because I actually think what I love about that response so much for really any one of these things is that you can honestly it puts the onus back on them to start explaining, and this is my husband's favorite thing to do to people when they say something that's slightly offensive. Casey always does this. He always puts it back and he said, "I love watching the people be stumbling over explaining." He goes, "Because the minute they have to explain it, they realize how unbelievably inappropriate it was to even say to begin with." And that's a wonderful little snap back at people, if you will. But another one
Mhm.
can be this one that we wrote down in the little guide can be programs focused on weight loss have been triggering for me and like that all or nothing mentality. And I'm moving away from that. And now I'm just kind of doing some of these things for fun and I'm just trying to take care of my body and whatever. And you can even say, if you want to be nice about it, I'm really glad they're working well for you and that you're enjoying the side effects that you're getting. I've heard that they can be really beneficial for a whole myriad of different people. I'm just not interested in engaging in them. Very simple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And some of these are more of a continuation of a conversation that may happen, right? Because for some people, there may be follow-up questions. Well, what do you mean? Don't you care about your health? Don't you feel like you would feel better if you lost some weight? And so if you
When did
have,
I say I felt bad?
are you implying that I should feel bad about my body because it's a certain size? And
Did I
again,
say that I felt bad?
these responses really depend on how much do you feel like going into? Because you
Mm,
don't owe this person an explanation of what you're doing with your food, your body image. You don't owe them, you really don't owe them anything. Even if it's your mother, you don't owe them anything.
mhm.
They might be part of the reason we got here in the first place.
Yeah.
Just, yep,
I think
maybe.
I think that's also a really hard thing for people to navigate too when you're so used to sharing a lot and
Hmm.
feeling like, "Oh, no, we always have talked about this," and now you're starting to set boundaries around some conversations and some topics. It can feel like you might wanna yell, "I'm setting boundaries," like, "No nobody talk about this anymore," or "Stop talking about this," and it can make you feel really frustrated in those moments, but you can also part of setting boundaries can just be diffusing the conversation altogether. It doesn't have to be about a crusade or taking them down this road or trying to sell them on something. And just you can just shut down the conversation if they come back with other things. "I'm not interested in talking about this."
Hmm.
You know, "I would love to talk to you. I would love to catch up with you, Aunt Karen, but I would like to talk about something different. How
Hmm.
are the cats doing?" I don't know.
Yeah. Or my body is none of your business is one
Yeah.
of the things that we really like to say. And one of the things we have in here that someone may say is, don't you feel like you'd feel better if you lost some weight?
Mhm.
And you could lead with, my body's none of your business. You could also say, how I'm feeling is a little more complex than losing weight. Or if you want to be a little snippy, You can say, I'm really trying to move away from the toxic belief that changing my size will magically change my entire life. I like that one. I think I came up with that.
That is totally you. Or me on an extra sassy day, like, it's one of the
Mhm.
other.
Mhm.
I also think too, another one that we have in here too is I actually think I'd be happier and feel better if I stopped judging myself based off my
Yeah.
body size.
Mhm.
And I think that's also a really wonderful thing to say too, or when people are talking about food, you can say things like, I'm really trying to take the morality out of food. I don't know if you've ever noticed that before, but a lot of people attach this moral hierarchy when it comes to conversations about food. And sometimes those things can be internalized. I'm trying to step away from that a little bit. I'm not trying to say that one food is better than the other, but I'm really trying to take it away from making me feel something about myself.
Yeah.
I also think could be like a really beautiful thing to say too.
Mhm.
And kind
Yeah,
of
because a
like,
lot of this can be teaching moments as well,
yeah,
without being proselytizing and without being like, everybody needs to get in my camp, which would be great if we would all just stop talking negatively about ourselves. And I don't even think that's a camp. I just think that's a very
yeah,
far reach for a lot of people. But another example we have is, oh, doesn't your cousin or so and so they look great? They've really been watching what they eat or working with a personal trainer, and maybe you should do that too, or something like that. And one of the my favorite teaching moments for people is our bodies are different. Even if I did exactly the same thing, our bodies would still look different. And I think that's okay.
yeah,
And that could be like a real oh shit moment for the person that's talking to you. What do you mean?
yeah.
What? We're
Like,
not all just gray blobs that are 1 + 1 = 2 caloric equations?
I also think too that there's almost a section that needs to be for people who have active eating disorders that they're working through. Because these conversations, and I think one thing is like when you're in recovery, it feels so unbelievably precious and fragile around you, and you're creating this bubble, but it feels like you're creating a bubble out of glass. And one little comment can penetrate that bubble and shatter the whole thing. And so I think it's understandable that these types of conversations are really, really hard for you. And they impact the way that you go into the meal that's upcoming right then, in that moment, right there. And it is incredibly unfair, and the people who are engaging these conversations don't realize how impactful these little comments are and how mean and how hurtful and how much the ripple effect that it can have on you and have this goes for people who are not just having eating disorders either, okay? But for my eating disorder client, I have this, oh my God, I want to put silicone around this glass bubble that you're creating and come up with some things that you can say because it is really hard, and also you don't have to share with anyone why it's so hurtful. You don't have to say, "I have an eating disorder and this is really hard for me," because they might not understand, and they might be like, "Well, I'm not talking about your eating disorder, I'm talking about your health." Well, go fuck yourself. Like, they're all one and the same. Like, what are you talking about? And so I feel like I think it's important to remember and have like, how can I build little pieces of protection around what could feel incredibly fragile? And I think that goes for anyone. And so I think I might add some stuff in there that's more geared towards eating disorders for people too. And so I think that would be important to have in there as well. But I also think I encourage everybody who maybe doesn't identify with having an eating disorder or hasn't had an eating disorder, go check out that section too, because I feel like it could be really relevant for you as well. And because our relationship with our body can feel so fragile. And if we're just going into this, sometimes it can feel really difficult to have this. And I actually think some of the ways to navigate diet talk over the holidays when it feels really fragile for you is avoidance.
Mhm.
And I actually think that sometimes that's the most protective thing that you can do. If you hear someone having a conversation about their cholesterol and going off and going nuts about it, leave the room. If you hear someone talking about their experience with Ozempic and saying, I think everyone should be on it, leave the room. If you hear someone talking about something about this new diet that they're starting and how they're maintaining all of their workout routines, and you're trying to break a very disordered relationship with exercise, and it's taking everything in you to fight that urge to keep going to the gym and earn and not eat and work out a lot, leave the room. For God's sake, leave the room. Like, you can
Mhm.
just leave, and it can be, I'm going to go to the bathroom. or I'm going to go outside for a little while. Because I think sometimes that can be the most protective thing when navigating diet talk.
Yeah. Or be like, wow, I'm really hot. I need to step outside. Because not only is it a protective thing, but that can also be a very maybe not so subtle or subtle lead by example. Actions speak louder than words a lot of the time. And so you getting up anytime there is an instance of, "Whoa, this doesn't feel safe for me," like you are one protecting yourself, but you're also sending a little bit of a message if people are perceptive. Oh, interesting. She doesn't want to participate in this.
Mm-hmm. I do that.
Maybe they'll stop doing it as often.
I do that all the time. Every time. I just always just move on or I stay silent. I just don't participate in the conversation. And to me, it feels like its own little wall of protection over myself. And then we'll talk about this with too. Like sometimes navigating that around your kids is not saying something to the family. Sometimes it's actually going back and saying something to your children about it later, which we're going to do a whole episode about. But
Deconstructing.
yeah.
Hey, recap. Here's what just happened.
Here's what was said. That's bonkers. Here's what we believe in our house. Here's what some people believe, and we can talk about all the things. But I do think that one of the best things to do to protect yourself is avoidance. And I don't think that is shying away or not standing up for yourself. I actually think it's you choosing yourself first. And I think sometimes people think, I want to do the quote unquote brave thing and snap back and say something. And sometimes the bravest thing you can do is walking away.
Mm-hmm. And one other thing, I think we've talked about this in years past, but even we have been, as practitioners who've been working in this field for so long, even we have been put in the middle of conversations that put us into the freeze state.
Oh my
And
God.
I don't even know what to say.
Same.
So if that happens to you, that's a reality, right? That doesn't mean you did anything wrong, right? If you don't say or think any of these things, if you don't get up from the table, that does not mean that you did anything wrong. In all of these situations, no matter your response, even if you laugh along with the fat joke, even if you don't necessarily disagree with all this stuff, your body is always trying to put you in the most protective position possible. And so if that's getting up from the table, if that's saying something, if that's not saying something, if that's just staying quiet, if you're totally frozen, that is literally a protective nervous system response.
Mhm.
So whatever happens, we have some tools for you. That doesn't mean you have to use them. It doesn't mean you're a failure if you don't use them.
100%.
Maybe they'll be here when you need them next year, or 2 years, or 3 years. The holidays are always going to come around. And you will continue to grow and evolve, and your story will continue to change. And there's different avenues that we can take. And so we're here to support you
And I think also
for the next 10 episodes and forever.
and forever and ever and ever, for as long as this podcast lives. Maybe we'll be doing this when we're 90. Who knows?
Maybe it's already been 7 years, 8 years
Since you
Who
started.
knows? Long time.
Yeah. One thing I will say too about the script, even if you don't feel comfortable saying them out loud, I actually think they're really great mindset resets for yourself. So you hear something and then instead of internalizing it, you can be like, oh no, how do I want to think about this? This is how I'm thinking about this now. This is how I'm responding internally to myself when I start to get the feels about, oh my God, maybe they're right. Those are the things that you can always go back to. So I encourage you to use the guide in that way too. And I think it can be really helpful in that way as providing you with almost like alternative for yourself internally rather than thinking that it's something you have to put externally. It can be done internally as well.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.